All right, guys, we're here with another podcast, but this time it's a three-way, threesome, a menage cast with Gobbo King and Loremaster of Sotek, as well as myself. What's up, guys?
Not much. What's going on? What's going on? I guess the Spartacus gladiators. What do you call your people?
Oh, I don't even know.
Oh man,
how's it going?
God, that's the high energy we all know and love.
So like right before we started this, Gobbo King's like, I don't know, we'll see how it is. And I'm like, hey man, it's up to you. Then Sotek's like, hey guys.
You did say
don't
don't
count
count.
on me for nothing.
What was that?
Don't count on me for nothing.
Don't count on me for
Cold-blooded,
nothing.
and it's raining outside, and everything's just gross.
Dude, that's a beautiful scenario. I live in Southern California where it's like, oh my god, this is the Southern California winter. It's like 72 and people are freaking out.
So brutal.
I know.
I had to put on a hoodie.
I had to wear fingerless gloves to go get my avocado toast.
Oh my god, dude, I love it. Like every so often when you stream, someone always bring up the question like, where would you want to be in the Warhammer fantasy? I'm like, everywhere there is miserable, and
Yeah.
none of them have modern medicine. Like
Yeah.
nowhere. I don't want to be anywhere.
I don't want to cut myself on a thorn bush and die of dysentery 2 days later.
You're like, yeah, but you could be a high elf with their healing magic. Yeah, but like, what if I'm out fighting chaos and like my tooth gets infected? Now I have Nurgle's rot.
Well, dude, that's what someone was saying. Like, where's one place you wouldn't want to live? And everyone's like, oh, I wouldn't want to live in like the Chaos Waste because it's the Mordor of the Warhammer world, so on and so forth. I'm like, I wouldn't want to live in Ulthuan. That place is like this grand, massive city that is freakishly underpopulated. That's terrifying to me. Oh no. Ghost towns? No thanks, man.
I'm telling you right now, I'm signing up. I'm the first one to sign up for the undead. Like, yeah, I know I'm the Gobbo King, but like that whole like not having to worry about disease and rot and like getting stabs, I'm for it.
Dude,
Dude, I would be a Saurus, I'd be a Slan in a heartbeat.
Okay, first of all, we don't have that choice.
Sleep for centuries. I'm so down.
dude,
I
and
don't have to do shit.
dude, Gobbo King would just be your little skink just feeding you stuff like in Star Wars. Utagutu solo.
You know,
I just have a shovel.
You know what the best last words were of a Slan?
What?
He was talking to a skink attendant. He said, "Hey, pass me another Ixie grub," and then he died.
The life of
man.
a Jabba the Slan, you know.
Oh my god! I know it's completely off topic already, but who was the Ogre Kingdoms guy? The one that he's so massive. He just had like a carpet of nobblers.
Croesus
Like,
Goldtooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
We
carry
were
him.
talking about him during my stream. Croesus is the best.
Oh my god, so nasty.
Oh man, I'm like a lot of
Dude,
people.
I can't wait for him to be animated. It's gonna be
Yeah,
glorious.
exactly. Like, and you know they'll do some sort of awesome like justice to him. They do. I don't feel like there's one lord where I'm like, they really skimped out on him. Like, I feel like everyone they've really kind of done pretty well.
Albrecht.
Yeah, it's just because he doesn't have his trident.
Damn right.
God,
You're gonna let that down.
I just
Never.
yeah, like
And the
give him
worst-
the trident ability, but don't give him the trident itself.
I'm gonna bang that war drum till the day I die or they fix it.
You should bang the prophet shields like a drum.
Oh man, poor Alberic.
In general, though, like I'm kind of surprised that they chose him. Oh, I guess this is a really good segue into one, like because we wrote down a bunch of topics that said, "Hey, if we get off point, let's go to these things." But not that we're off point, but this is a good segue. Alberic is a pretty random. Oh, I guess not necessarily random, but I wouldn't not a lord I would have expected for Bretonnians. In that same vein, Tretch Craventail, not a lord I would have expected for the Skaven.
I'm
Discuss.
okay with him. I'm okay with him because he's a free download, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with him being a free download because, hey, you know, a free download, be as goofy as you want. I wasn't okay. I wasn't okay with how was his name, Helman Gorst.
Yeah.
Even though I
Pay
love
for
him.
that.
Oh, he's so memey.
What was he attached with?
He was a
Boltbar.
very
Boltbar.
minor character in Sigmar's Blood, but he was the Graven the Grim DLC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
But yeah, the Craven Tail I'm fine with because I'm pretty sure we're gonna get Thankful.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Like, you can't do Skaven and not do Thankful. Like, that just doesn't. That doesn't make any sense. Even if it's in Game 3, you have to do him.
Yeah. I can see them not bringing like Deathmaster Snitch or somebody.
Yeah, easily. I mean,
Because Deathmaster Snitch, I don't remember him being a lore choice.
He was a Lord of
He was a
choice, yeah.
hero, and he couldn't lead armies.
And he also, just like Shadowbane or Shadow, the Dark Elf lore. Yeah, the Dark Elf.
Yeah.
So,
he's a straight up murked people. That's all he did.
Dude, end times. He's just like, you're dead. You're dead.
I feel like I'm going to still off topic, but I feel like end times was just like, all right, guys, we got to wrap it up. You got 6 months. Just go wild.
We got 5 books. Let's do it.
It's like, hey, look, what are we going to do with these 3 characters? Deathmaster Snitch, pop, 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 done. But yeah, the Tomb Kings lords. I guess I'm happy with all the ones they brought. I mean, nothing bad to say about them.
That's all the lords.
Hold on. I have to make a point on Tretch.
Oh,
like
back the fuck up.
Here's what really grinds my gears.
I agree with Gobbo that since he's a free LC lord, I don't think anyone can like get super critical of who they picked because he's free content. Like he may be not who I would have picked by any means. There's probably 4 or 5 people I have in front of him. But, I mean, at least he does seem to be bringing some interesting stuff. I do think his timing is weird.
Yeah.
Considering that he's supposed to be more of a Darklands character, and yet they're putting him in this game where we don't have the Darklands yet.
You've seen the leak kind of stuff that we're supposed to get that little tiny portion of not even really the Darklands, just a further extension of the map east. Like barely a further extension.
Well, yeah, but like, I mean, Crookback Mountain is basically on the map. You just have to squeeze it a little further east.
Which is what they're doing.
Kind of jam it
but
in there.
at least for right now, that's not what they're doing with Tretch, because Tretch is up in Naggaroth.
Right.
But the thing is, like, I personally, it was disappointing to me that we didn't get Throt, because I think Throt would have made the most sense as far as like, hey, Clan Molder is like has a really cool, unique starting position on the Mortal Empires map, being way up there with Chaos and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Throt, I don't really see Throt being a DLC character. He kind of rings free LC to me.
Oh yeah, totally.
He's not quite as popular as Ikit and Thanquol are.
Well,
despite the fact that Throt is amazing.
There's not a lot you can do with Throt too. Like I'm like, okay, you have them start in Hell Pit, and great, Clan Molders and cool, super duper, but there's not a whole ton of Clan Molder units that aren't in the game, like the mortar, like the rattling gun, like the Warplock Jazales, like Ikit Claw, like.
Oh yeah, like definitely the only stuff we're really missing is from Clan Scryer,
right?
Like almost entirely.
We're missing.
I mean, there are a few
wolf
Molder units they could add if they want to, like Wolf Rats would have been nice, or Rat Wolves. I forget which version it is. And Giant Rats would have been nice too.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of like the equivalent of a ground, like kind of the equivalent of Dire Wolves.
Yeah, exactly, like a Chaos Warhound thing.
But that being said, I am much more excited for Thanquol than anybody else. I'm really curious which version of him they're going to go with.
They're probably going to I think they're going to go with like his last form. They're probably just going to have him on foot, and then you could pay to have Bonebreaker. He's just going to be like the Warlord, in my opinion. I don't know if they're going to give him Thanquol. What did Bone Ripper have? Bone Ripper is it a flamethrower?
Yeah, I'm hoping they give him a souped up. I hope they give him the end times version where he rides Bone Ripper,
yeah, totally.
and not the old version where he walks next to Bone Ripper.
That's the one I want. I want the original one where it's like this, like kind of like sickly looking rat ogre with 3 arms and kind of chain face.
Well, he wasn't even alive. It was just a construct.
Well, that's my point. I was going to say you could start off in this game with Thanquol like that, and then in the third game, put him on top of Bone Ripper, because in the lore, Bone Ripper is rebuilt like a ton of different times, each time with like, oh, a new and better improvement. This time 50 times stronger and Russian. Like that's the one in end times.
I'm not gonna lie, it would be really legitimately hilarious if every time Thanquol died and you get him back, after his bone period, he has a new Bone Ripper, like it's a different looking rat ogre.
That'd be sick.
I personally hate Thanquol because
Gobbo, you're so contrarian. You know that?
Dude, I understand why he should be in there. Like he's popular, but to me, he's just Cobra Commander. Like he has this plan, he attacks, and then he's like Cobra or Skaven retreats, no. And like because Gotrek and feels like, oh, we killed Bone Ripper again and followed your plan. It's like, oh, I'll get you next time, you meddling Slayers.
Yeah, I would have got away with it. If
You
it wasn't
need-
for you and your damn human.
You need to read his personal trilogy where he actually succeeds more often than he fails.
Oh my god!
It's
Is it just him?
hilarious.
Oh, it would be so much fun if it's his diary about every time he get failed.
Day
Oh
15,
my God.
lost again.
I mean, he basically does lose every time, but he ends up twisting it, so it ends up being it's really funny. It's worth
Oh my
reading.
god! Is it
Like
like
he's still just like he is in the Gotrek and Felix books, where like his
Oh,
actual job that he was supposed to do never happens. Like he always borks it,
Yeah.
but
that's
he
a
always
Skaven
manages to
thing.
turn it into a win because he's fucking thankful.
And that's a Skaven thing. Like, how many times do you guys play in Skaven against Skaven in tabletop where it's like, yeah, things are going terribly wrong for me. All of a sudden, something random just brings them just domino effect. They're all dead. Or I'm crushing it. Domino effect. Why is my army melting right now? Like, Skaven has such a really good random portion of their rule set that didn't really make it 100% into Total War Warhammer 2, but I still think like especially how Tretch is going to come in, how you're going to give him melee attack bonuses to instances where he's retreating and then attacks, stuff like that. It kind of symbolize his whole bonus to having giving him flanking bonuses if he's within Storm Vermin. So at least they're kind of trying to give those little tiny nudges to the lore or the nods to the lore.
Yeah, I like that. But there's, I will side with the side of like playability. I'd rather them have a more playable faction than to stay 100% to the lore.
Agreed.
I mean, I don't really remember Skaven Tread's Tale that much, other than like one-off reading.
Yeah, I think everyone was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Diet Queek Head Taker. Moving on. Like,
Yeah, I mean, Queek was one of the big ones, and Queek, I was a little surprised that he was like a first pick, but I can agree with it.
yeah, I mean, I could totally get behind it. I mean, like you, I think everyone kind of thought it'd be Thankful. Was one.
Yeah,
of them.
I totally thought it was, because like Clan Skyr is sitting in Skaven Blight, and like no one's in Skaven Blight. That's really weird.
This is
So and then of course the big DLC that you think is going to be for Skaven is going to be I don't know, probably like it's going to be the versus, like the skinks versus the rats, whatever they're going to call it.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to think that, but weigh in on this, Loremaster of Sotek. Majority of like 10-1, a lot of his stuff is against what the hell is it called? Clan Pestilence. It's not like against the greater Skaven nation, which is across the ocean.
Yeah, that's where
He gets around.
He's on
10 and 1.
Skink
10 and
Tinder.
1 is kind of an all comers when it comes to Skaven. Like he's the only. I think it was Spike Peak that he destroyed. There's a Skaven settlement in the old world that he destroyed like in the last 50 years of the timeline.
I don't know.
Pestilence was the big bad from the original war, but
Hmm.
I don't think 10 and 1 draws much of a difference between the different clans.
That's probably true. I guess I don't really see him squaring off against like Skaven Blade actual. I think that I usually think of him fighting Pestilence in Lustria.
He's more of just the anti-Skaven character in general, though. I'm expecting them to do him versus Thankful because it's kind of a callback to Thankful's book, Temple of the Serpent, which was basically 10 and 1 versus Thankful. That was back in the day when 10 and 1 wasn't immortal. He was like a skink that was like really awesome and stuff, and then he kind of vanished when his time was done, and it was assumed that he died. And basically, you had the option of 10 and 1 as a special character, but the way they explained it was that every once in a while, a new skink with a red crest would show up who would like took on his mantle, and so the book was about Thankful fighting the current Prophet of Sotek, and it was a really awesome book, and they had like a really big battle and stuff. So I'm thinking that's the book they're going to allude to with the DLC.
I always associate the Prophet of Sotek with the Southlands. I know he's not necessarily.
He never even went to the Southlands.
You
I know,
stupid idiot!
Just because if you remember the old Lizardman book, I think it was the first book. No, it was the second book. Yeah, it was the 6th edition book that they had the Southland army.
Yeah,
and I just you think skink chief, and I always just associate it with that, even though it's wrong. Oh man, gets me every time.
Well, Lizardmen though have been in the game for they weren't one of the original starting races.
No,
they were third or fourth.
Fifth. They came in
fifth. Yeah, that's
they were
and they
released
kind of made the
alongside
rivalry.
Bretonians.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
That's
kind of
why I
made the
got it.
rivalry with the Skaven. Even though the box set was Bretonia and Lizardman, I'm like,
Right.
but Bretonia's never really fought the Lizardman.
I think it was just like
Dude, the artwork from that box was hilarious.
so
It was pretty sweet,
good,
though.
so good. But I think that was just like their way of saying, "Oh, new army, Bretonians, like that'll do." And after
that was my first box set. I mean, that's the first time I played it.
I think between all three of us, that's all three of our first box sets, right?
Yeah, and the army book was so good. All the little art in there. It's just like I remember there's like a scene with like dark elves on cold ones, and they're trying to get their cold ones to go. And like one of them's like sniffing poop, and the other one's like perched on a rock.
Yeah, man.
No one else remembers
no,
that.
I was gonna say I absolutely remember that. Like that book was like ridiculous because it's like the art is like almost cartoony but also realistic. It's weird.
The old school art was weird.
Yeah.
It was like the last time that they took the piss out of themselves was like that book, and it was all serious.
Well, like the old art, like a way far back art, where it's like it's not even like an actual concise image. Like it's very like sketched almost looking with a lot of like crazy splashing colors, and they use it for a lot of things. Like all of the army books for the demons, like the 7th and 8th edition ones, are the same drawings, like the really old ass ones. That like you know what I'm talking about, Sotek, like the really old drawings that look not like the
I know exactly which one you're talking
Okay, cool. I was like, am I sounding like a crazy idiot right now?
Well, no, I had because I bought that, I was like, I don't know, 11 or something. It was 96, I think, that came out, so I would have been 12. And my dad's like, oh, we had fun, so we bought like 3rd edition and 2nd edition stuff. So I had the goblins and the high elves and all the crazy art. The only way the one I remember that the art style worked and I liked it was the old Titan Codex for 2nd edition, 40K.
Oh, okay. I was like, Titan? I don't remember the Titans in Warhammer.
They had the same artist. He just did all the Titan work, and it's just like, I don't know. I guess cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Seriously, it definitely looks that way.
But yeah, the Tomb Kings, man. Talking about 1st editions, I played Tomb Kings when they came out for Warmaster.
Oh, dude.
And that was a weird because the evolution of Tomb Kings, because they in 4th edition? Yeah, we're talking about 4th edition is when vampires were still, or vampires and Tomb Kings were one faction.
Yeah, undead.
Yeah, and they mention in the books a different series, but you could really do whatever you want with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have units of mummies next to your Screaming Skull Catapult with your Ethereal Lord.
Dude, and everything was so weird. Like they had like I remember on the book of like the front of the book for Warhammer Armies Undead, it was like the old school Nagash, with his weird like little bone thing, his little like bone dress. It's so weird, like and his red sword and shit like that.
Oh,
like,
dude, I love that.
Dude, like
the old Nagash.
Dude, just like every single person in the Warhammer Armies Undead looked like they were on an Iron Maiden album cover. Like,
but it was it was a good book though. Like it was horror. Like it was very well inspired. I can't remember the exact phrases, but it was like that edition had like a kind of what do I think? H.P. Lovecraft, Edgar Allan Poe feel to them. They were very well written.
Well, I mean, like a lot of the books back then were well written. Like I had the Bretonia book, and it's basically Arthurian lore.
Yeah, just switch it out with French names.
Yes, Le Pew Pew. But my friend had Lizardmen, and like the Lizardmen stuff was really cool too. Like it had really gaudy, like blocky font and everything like that. But big old Triceratops in the front of it, which I think was not called a. Was it a Stegodon still back then?
Yeah, it was always called a Stegodon.
But that was the only dinosaur they had really. They had pterodons.
Yeah,
they had the salamander and the Stegodon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought they had cold ones too back then.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah. Well,
that's cat, not dinosaurs.
Those are raptors.
It was like the first edition of cold ones when they were like the fat little fat ones, and then became the dog ones, and then they became the ones I hate.
They have such a weird transition. Like if you want to talk about like evolution of anything, cold ones have such a weird one. Like they go from like very raptorish to like the big broad fat ones to like little more raptorish again, now to like a lot more, I don't know, Jurassic World looking, like very.
I'm happy with how they ended up in Warhammer or Total War.
Oh,
I like the way they look now. But yeah, Tomb Kings, dude. Like, because I had them on for Warmaster, and They were just skeletons with grave shields.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
The only thing that made it look like it was the Tomb King, because this is before, I think they were just called Camry.
At
It
one
might have been.
point they were,
Yeah.
I think.
I can't remember. They weren't called the same. So they first came out and like everyone was getting hype about it because they're playing Warmaster, trying to see what this new race that was coming out was, because they had just announced they're splitting Undead into 2 factions. And so like I got my army and I had this War Sphinx and this Bone Giant, and like all my guys just look like skeletons holding graveyard shields. And the only thing that made it look Egyptian was the War Sphinx. And the Tomb King himself, he was like on this like a mountain of bones. He kind of looks like the Casket of Souls.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, he was changed everything.
Hey, Gobbo, I have a random note, and I'm going to put it in this podcast because I can. Your stupid early access video is making Reddit so upset.
Oh, really?
Oh my god!
Somebody posted on Reddit, and it's just it's bad.
For those who don't know, I have I have a small channel. I'm under 3,000, and
I don't know, man. This thing's gonna bump you up real big, black boy.
Anyways, so everyone kept asking me if I was gonna get early access. You're like, oh, God, we're getting early access. God, we're getting early access. I'm like, I don't know. We'll see, guys. Maybe I'll get it. So I'm like, and it all came out. I didn't get a key. I'm like, man, I'm kind of bummed out. I wish I had a key. And I was talking, it must have been with Turner and someone else, about mixing like Tomb Kings with the Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser. And so I made a video because like, fuck, I don't have anything for tomorrow. So it took me like 5 minutes to make this thing. And it's literally like me in the, like, hey, let me load up this battle for you. And then as I click load, I immediately skip over to like the final battle scene. And I'm like, check out this new Witch Hunter. He's got anti-large. It's Brendan Fraser fight. Like, here he's fighting a Tomb Scorpion. It's like The Rock.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's so terrible.
Someone put on here. You think this is some kind of fucking game? Like.
Oh my god, dude! I'm gonna go look at it.
Dude, you should change your name.
Please talk about yourselves.
To the Troll King. Jeez, man.
Oh my god, dude.
Even like. But I guess kind of like going back on like 4th edition, like the transition between, or in 5th when they transitioned into Tomb Kings and what the hell's it called? Vampire counts. Like just like the way even the Tomb Guard looked back then were so...
Oh, so different.
Yeah, they look like White Kings do now. Like they have the big bat helmets and everything like that. Like they look way, way, way different.
Oh yeah, they definitely gone a long way. I kind of like the way they go now. I think it makes them a little more distinct.
Yeah, I agree.
What else is there? The only thing I remember liking better is the Ushapti. I liked him better when they had the great weapon. There's kind of like this like Swiss Army knife snap lock thing. I'm not digging it.
Let me see.
That's what they got now.
I can't remember it. Warhammer.
I just remember like I'm just watching like your replays and stuff, and they're fighting, and they like snap them together, and they swing it around, and they unsnap it. I'm like, what is this? What is this witchcraft?
Did you ever see the movie? Oh God, what's it called? when I met it just came out recently. It's called Gods of Egypt.
Oh no,
and it's just over the top and terrible.
I've seen that. That movie is hilarious. It's one of those classic Gerard Butler films.
Yeah, like there you go. There's your Ushapti right there. If you guys want to see some Ushapti gameplay, go watch Gods of Phoenix. Do it while drunk if you can. Oh.
In any event, moving on to more relevant topics.
Seriously. Well, speaking of Tomb Kings, I guess, what's been your overall impression of Tomb Kings, Loremaster, or of yours looking in, Gobbo King?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just laughing at all the comments. Tomb King.
I'll let you enjoy it for a moment, Gobbo.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to mute myself for a second.
I would say I have very much enjoyed the Tomb Kings. They bring a very interesting dynamic to the game. They're very. I think they're one of the factions that, for me, relies much more on synergy than a lot of other factions do. Like where you're with Lizardmen or Greenskins or all these different factions, you can kind of have certain units that go on to do their own thing. Can't really do that with Tomb Kings.
Right.
almost all of their units need to have something that's working in tandem with them, whether it's magic or shooting support or just another unit next to them.
Right.
But they're a unit, because of their crumbling, that, you know, kind of like vampire counts, where if they get isolated, you can destroy them really fast.
Right. Right.
But vampire counts have a lot of natural reasons to bunch up, you know, like overcasting invocation of the heck, and a lot of their buff things like corpse cards and mortis engines. Like vampire counts have a lot of reasons to stay compact and not to spread out.
Right.
Other than like, you know, blood knights or terrorgeists, which, you know, terrorgeists are flyers, so they're relatively safe, and blood knights are absolute monsters, so they're relatively safe. Tomb Kings really don't have anything like that. You know, the biggest bads they have are, of course, the constructs. But even them, if a Kimrian War Sphinx or a Necro Sphinx gets caught out, I've noticed that they can go down really fast.
Yeah, they can definitely get focused.
They need infantry. Like, they're very resistant to shooting, and, you know, if they're fighting alongside infantry or characters, they'll put a beating down on people.
Right.
But Tomb Kings, I think, are going to be much better for players who have a good understanding of, like, when they build a list, having an idea of what they want every unit to do.
Right.
Like, I think Turin tends to play a lot like that. That's something I struggle more with, in that I'm not really as good with formulating a plan as I'm building a unit. I'm usually thinking like, okay, my opponent's probably going to have this, so I need this to counter, and then I need this to counter. And like, I usually build a counter-focused army.
Sure.
I usually don't build an army that's designed just to synergize with itself no matter what.
So then would you say that it's an army that's going to be easier to pick up because it forces you to kind of learn good mechanics?
I don't, actually. I think it's actually going to be a harder army for most people, for newer people to pick up.
Okay.
Because you're more punished when you make a mistake.
Really? Interesting.
In that Tomb Kings, if they get a bad engagement, can take a lot of damage. And obviously your guys don't break and run and then have the chance to come back later. Especially since in the meta right now, a lot of people won't necessarily pursue all fleeing units. You know, they'll kind of focus on the next bulk unit they have to take down. Tomb Kings, you don't get that privilege. People are just like, if somebody beats one of your units, they're just going to crumble, explode, and die. I think, and Tomb Kings, like, bunching up is an option you have, but that's also kind of bad in today's meta, because there's a lot of spells and, you know, certain kinds of characters or attacks that can really punish someone that just bunches up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's very unpopular right now, despite the fact that Tomb Kings reward you for doing it with stuff like My Will Be Done and a lot of the other buffs and debuffs that they have. So I feel like Tomb Kings are actually going to be one of the harder armies to play in multiplayer, especially since a lot of their infantry sucks.
I think, I mean, I'm outside looking in. Obviously, I didn't get it. But I think a lot of it is you're not going to be able to spam units. Like Lizard, we'll take a Lizardmen. Lizardmen aren't a bad faction, but they're a very forgiving faction for a new player.
True.
You know, they have a high leadership. Your units will rampage, and like, well, you're already in combat, so who cares? You know, like Krokar with his mask and push himself out, so it's very forgiving.
Right.
And Vampire counts because you have these mass healing spells. They're very forgiving for new players. But a lot of the Tomb King stuff I'm seeing is combined arms. Like, for example, I watch a lot of people playing Tombs with Tomb Scorpions, and no one's Vanguarded them. I don't know what else has Vanguard in the army, because no one's brought any horsemen or anything. But to me, it looks like the Tomb Scorpion's job is just to suddenly no other faction has a large armor-piercing monster that can show up on your flank at the beginning of the battle, right? So you have to dedicate resources to it. You're going to have to turn your attention to it. They look very much, this is going to sound weird, they look like Bretonnia. And what I mean by that is you have all this infantry. Here's just trash. And then all your killing power is just really tied up in your monsters, or Bretonnia is all tied up in your cavalry.
Right.
Same thing with the Tomb King. So you have to just throw this fodder out there, tie them up, and start shooting them. So I would take something like the War Sphinx, and instead of like getting engagements, I would hit in, get some shots in, and then start pulling it back through my lines. And just because Tomb Kings, I don't remember them being such a range-heavy faction.
Well,
They
if you
have
think
so
about
many
it,
things that can punish at range.
and they don't even have all of them in the game. The Necrolith Titan is not in the game. The Necrolith
Colossi, yeah.
Colossi can
Yeah.
have a Bow of the Desert. So
Yeah.
I mean, they have even more capability to be ranged. But if you watch the second campaign video I did with Arkin, and at the very end I played, what's your name? Loremaster Sotek. He took the War Sphinx.
Okay, I see how it is.
Yeah. He took the War Sphinx because it's considered a chariot, I think, and then just went right through my whole line with it.
Well,
Up and down the whole
monsters
line.
those monsters all have impact damage. So like Stegodons, the War Sphinx. So when they impact units, they do an extra damage just when they hit. Now I don't remember. I can't remember the exact numbers.
Yeah, I'd say the thing about the War Sphinx though that makes it special is that charge animation it has is not only fast, but it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't stop like a Stegodon does when it impact. Like the Stegodon kind of does this bull rush,
Right.
but it stops after one lunge. The Kimrian War Sphinx just keeps pouncing until it plows through everybody.
Seriously.
And it could do a stupid amount of damage.
Well, it's just like the Tomb Scorpion. The Tomb Scorpion, the Tomb Scorpion can't kill a single lord or hero one-on-one because its animations are so wild and erratic. It just throws everything around. It jumps all over the place. It can't stay focused on one unit without jumping into another unit and getting pulled into that unit if it's fighting just a single like hero or a lord. So if you throw it against, say, like, let's just say Swordmasters of Hoeth, it'll do a ton of damage because it's going to dive in and out and roll all over them like an orca. But like if you just throw it against, if you throw them against like a Loremaster of Hoeth, it doesn't. He just can't stay focused on the target. It's so frustrating because a Tomb Scorpion you'd think is like this construct assassin type model, and it's not. It's meant to just reap a heavy talon on their infantry.
Weird. He seems like he's much better just against heavily armored infantry. Like,
I think
you want to throw him against like Black Orcs and stuff.
Your single point target guys look like your Necro Sphinx, which I would have to sit down and really look at it, or your the Titan with his Shim's Burning Gauge, Spirit Leech, and just it looks like he has the same splash area as a giant. And giants don't have a lot of. I only complain about the giant. They don't have a big splash area, and that's why they just end up being not competitive.
Right.
So I think that's going to be your single point target hitters, or your range.
Well, it can kind of.
I do think it's going to be a micro heavy faction. I think it'd be a very micro, just because you have to just set. All the stuff has to be set up, and a lot of people have also been taking Lord of Death. And I think Lord of Light's another powerful one. You have two Shopti bows, you net something down, and you can just start unloading.
Honestly, you don't even need to net something though. Those Shopti rape bows are fucking brutal,
especially if you couple it with what is it? The arrows of fucker of Ptah, like the
shield breakers,
fucker,
the Regiment of Renown.
The one that removes the shields?
No, that's the Regiment Renowned Ushabti, the Regiment Renowned Skeleton Archers.
Oh, Blessed Legion.
The Blessed Legion of Focht is the one that reduces its armor sundering.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's the Chosen of the Gods, which is the Ushabti variant, which are very scary against infantry because they explode into shrapnel before they hit the ground.
So cool.
And those reduce missile parry chance.
Right.
Yeah.
By like 15 or 20 or something, right? It's pretty substantial.
Yeah, they reduce it by a lot. Because they're just designed to be like, oh, those are some cute iron breakers here.
I honestly think some good ideas though is like, is it the Tomb Prince that has the curse where everyone rampages?
He gives them the rampage trait, yes.
Right.
Yeah, like you some nasty combos. You could get like skeleton, like charge in, pull the infantry out, pop the rampage, and now everyone's going to go chase the skeleton horseman. You just run him off to the other corner as you finish off the rest of his army.
Well,
There's some.
I was gonna say all their heroes have really strong, like synergistic. I'm keeping that word. Curses like, is it it's the priest or the necrotect has got the armor debuff one?
That's
like,
the priest.
Yeah, there you go. The priest, like they all have some really strong things that you can then like if you couple with light or Nahakara, it's really strong.
That's kind of the other thing though with Tomb Kings being a very micro intensive faction. Right. Is they have a lot of really interesting buff and debuff spells with fairly short cooldowns and cheap casts.
Mm-hmm.
You have to constantly keep them going to get the heals to be worth it. but also all of the priest and the tomb prince have that unique ability that once they get below 50%, they can use.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be careful with that because it's, usually if your priest, especially a priest, gets below 50% health, it usually means somebody's wailing on him.
Yeah.
And if he dies and you don't get to use that ability, I mean, you just lost value. And it's like minus like 30 armor or 60 armor. I think it's 30. But it's a really nice debuff.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a combined arms faction more so than anyone. Empire combined arms faction because Empire you can't really get away with any one thing. Like you can't just rely on your range, or you can't just rely on anti-large. You have to support every aspect of your army has to support, because it looks like if you just bring constructs, well, you're not going to get the mass healing. But if you just bring foot soldiers, you're just not going to have anything that can really kill.
Yeah, well, I think Tomb Kings are definitely a faction that every army should bring a meat shield line of like 3 or 4 warrior or spearman units,
right?
Just so they can get the Realm of Souls proc.
Because like not even the fact like, okay, if Tomb Guard had the same amount of model count as any of the chaff units, it'd be fine. But because they have 30 more, it's 90 versus 120 on whatever my setting is. That's basically 120 contribution to the total. What I think I have it written down here. It's like 300 some. 375 is the one for the third tier. So they have to kill 375 units. And if they can do that on BS units that cost 350, 375 gold a shot, perfect.
Yeah, well, and your army has to be balanced right, because, and I saw you kind of talking about this, Italian, on your stream, but the Shabti summon that you get sometimes, it has this weird caveat that's not explained in the unit card, but I think it's by design. But if your army reaches a certain point where the over is breaking or something,
right?
But there's a point where if you try and use it, it won't spawn them.
Yeah, and that's what I think happened in our fight, where I tried to use it and the thing went off. Couldn't use the ability again, but alas, no Ushabti. I felt shafted and alone.
Yeah, I remember watching it, and like you put it on the skinks. I was like, that's a weird spot to put it, or whatever was in my thought. And then you turned over, and it came back, and they didn't come. I was like, what? It's kind of like Krell when Krell doesn't show up.
It's not quite as, because Krell usually won't show up because Kimmler gets slapped by somebody or you accidentally cancel the order. This one, sometimes it's a bug, but most of the time the reason it doesn't work is because the AI or the game has decided that the Tomb Kings player already lost, and it basically prevents you from summoning it to try and rectify the balance of power.
Give
me that balance of power, rectify. That's what I wanted. That would have tipped me over.
I think it would have pulled through for you, honestly, because I don't remember the battle exactly, but all his stuff that could deal with the Ushabti was pretty tattered.
Yeah, there was a point where I was like, okay, I got this, and then
they do degenerate very quickly.
Yeah, spiral downhill.
They die super fast.
Well, that was in the patch notes. Like the Cygor summons, 20% faster now. There's a couple other things too.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Is okay, so I looked at a lot of those patch notes, and you two definitely play more multiplayer than I do. Do you feel like those patch notes are going to be helping out in a big way or a little way? I mean, what's the impact of those patch notes in your opinion?
I agree with 90% of them. There's a couple. There's only one section that I don't really agree with, which is Escaping, but most of it I do agree. Bretonnia is going to suffer the same thing they always suffer, is that all their ability to do stuff is in the knights, right? So nothing for them changes. They did get a couple more armor piercing. I still think they're going to be kind of bottom tier just because of all the elite halberds. It's very difficult for Bretonnia to deal with, say, Blackguard and Nagron.
Right.
There's just nothing that can stop them.
Most people can't deal with Blackguard and Nagron or Phoenix Guard for that matter.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw Blackworks, Swordmasters.
Yeah, I like I probably like all of the changes for the most part. I didn't really see anything that I thought was bad, but I'm also a little bit less when it comes to changes.
I would say 60% of it was campaign stuff, which that's the bread and butter of the Total War.
Right.
Multiplayer is a relatively small community of any, and it just doesn't bring people in. People don't buy it to play multiplayer. At least I don't think so. I could be wrong. But other patch notes I remember being significant. I remember they fixed a couple issues, like Connoisseurs used to be so monstrous, but now they have a larger hitbox, so now more models can get around it and hit it. Because it used to be like a Connoisseur fights, say, a Grail Knight or a Demigryph Knight. Well, the Connoisseurs fight like one at a time, but now it's going to be fighting like 5 at a time.
He also got less mass, which means he
They can't just they can't just drag things out of the way anymore.
Just dragging it through the mud.
Dude, they're the best anti-large in the game. I don't think there's anything that can stand up to them.
Carnosaurs?
Yeah, they're just monsters.
Hmm.
They don't do very good against. They do terrible against like halberds, though. They get just smashed.
Well, that's what we were saying. Is halberds for the most part are just kind of like, oh, okay, you have large. Well, I've got these halberds. Boom.
Yeah. What other issues? Like Skaven, the only thing they changed was the Doom Wheel, which fair enough. It needed some tweaking to it, but it doesn't change like the current meta of the Skaven, which is just that 2 plague furnaces, a screaming bell, and rats, and they just run at you.
Well, as far as the meta goes in general, did any of this really shift things in a big way, one way or another? Like, oh, okay, this faction now jumped up or jumped down a couple pegs.
Well, I think Bretonnia won't be like tier 5 anymore. Let me create an assembly block. Let me make sure I have it all my P's and Q's right there.
I really don't have as much of an opinion on this because I don't play as I'm not as competitive a player as Gobbo is.
Yeah. Says the guy who's in every single tournament. Every time I look on, I get on Discord. And it's Loremaster. So what the fuck are we playing this tournament?
I mean, yeah, but I think I have a less. When I make a list, I tend to just be like, yeah, that's what feels right, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I feel like Gobbo actually has an understanding of the system, whereas I just kind of fling it, and most of the time it seems to work when I fling it, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, I play a lot of multiplayer.
Yeah, you wrote a whole 115-page guide.
I think it's 140 pages right now.
Oh, excuse me, sorry. Gotta get your autograph on the front of it.
And I plan on adding more. We're trying to get another one done next week. We're thinking about high elves. So anyways, Bretonnia, I feel like everything they did change right. They made some of the troops cheaper. They gave a lot more armor piercing. They made a Green Knight, so now he can actually hurt people with armor, which I like.
I will say the Green Knight is a lot scarier than he was.
Yeah, he has a lot more armor piercing now. Because it used to be like he could do really well against unarmored opponents, but if he runs up to somebody, he's hitting them with foam noodles. It's like you ever like get the foam noodles and jump into a shopping cart in Publix? Publix at Walmart.
Publix.
Yeah, that's what
joust. You mean?
Yeah, that's what the Green Knight was. He was foam noodle jousting.
You take my lady Mildred's hand in marriage, I shall take your head.
Yeah, the Dark Elves, they stayed pretty much the same. Just some slight cost changes. I agree with everything. The Dwarfs, I feel like, are getting way more powerful.
Good.
Now,
I never had a problem with the Dwarfs.
Changes.
Like now, like Ironbreakers might as well be like a concrete wall. Like, you're just gonna charge a chariot in, and it's gonna like form a ramp, and like you're gonna jump it, like you're playing Gorka Morka.
Just 3'2" little ramp.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be awesome. I wish I could make a video like this is Goblin Chariot just flying off.
You've got the lab. Do it.
Oh my god, dude, it'd be great. It'd be like Dukes of Hazzard. With a big Confederate flag on the front of their chariot. Like, we gotta watch out for them teeth robber boys. But yeah, Empire's getting some changes. Some small tweaks. Some of it I'm confused about, but like they're fixing the Outriders. They needed a better firing arc. The grenade launchers.
Outriders are very scary now.
The grenade launchers.
You can't even tell they have grenades. It's so weird looking. Like the shooting animation looks the exact same, and the bullets look the same until they hit the ground. Suddenly they explode. And you're like, what?
So they made some changes. Empire's going to be okay. High Elves, not much big difference. I'm trying to look at like kind of worthwhile. Like Wood Elves, I think is going to completely change. I think they're no longer an elf faction.
What do you mean?
Okay, so most times you jump on ladder.
They're elves, so they're going to not be.
I think he means they're not pure elf anymore.
Yeah, so
a lot of the tree spirits got.
When you jump on ladder and the guy pulls Wood Elves, you're expecting like regardless of what arm you take, you're like, oh, it's probably like 5 Eternal Guard, 4 Glade Guard, and whatever. But now what they've done is they made Way Watchers way more dangerous. They shoot faster and they have more ammunition. So they're already pretty dangerous. They've made it so that like the Glade Guard no longer have magical attacks. And so you might not see them, but the most important thing I think you're going to see a change in the meta is the Treekin, the Treemen, and the Ancient Treemen now all got more armor piercing.
Ooh.
Treekin got big buffs.
So the Treekin, because it used to be I would play the Treekin, and you would say fight Chaos. You throw your Treekin on the Forsaken. Forsaken can't get past that armor, but the Treekin don't really have the AP to do anything. They just kind of whiff around. But now with a little bit of extra AP, they're going to do okay. The Tree Man himself has now charge defense against all and more AP. Both units have more missile resistance, so they're definitely changing around. And they got more hit points. And Durthu, they gave him like 900 more hit points. Jesus Christ, Durthu's already a monster.
Jesus Christ. The funny thing though is it's like, I mean, whenever I take Wood Elves and says, "Hey, take Wood Elves," I usually do Glade Guard with 3 or 4 units of Treekins intermixed, Eternal Guard in the back just to kind of, Eternal Guard are the ones on the front line intermixed with Treekin, and then the Glade Guard in the back, and then maybe some Asterai Spears. Like, I usually kind of.
I haven't seen Treekin in ages.
Really? Yeah, okay. Are they that outside of the meta? Am I that behind the curve with them?
Yeah.
They've also changed it. So it used to be a 40% weakness to fire damage. So if you did 100 damage,
yeah, it's only 25 now.
Yeah, so it used to be if you did 100 damage, you do 140 damage to a Treekin.
Oh, damn.
So now it's only 25. So you're going from, what am I saying? Instead of 140, you're going to be 125. So that makes them a little more survivable. And if we ever see the Firebark Elders, you can take Treekin against dragons. I made a mistake one time. Like this high elf player's not going to bring dragons, and they brought 2 of them. I'm like, oh crap! He just set Durthu on fire. I'm like, oh, this is a horrible mistake.
This can only go well.
I don't think I'll be casting that battle.
We'll just go ahead and press delete on this replay. Well, that's a good question then. Since we're on the subject of just like races in general, do you guys think, or would you like to see, kind of Creative Assembly come back at the Total War Warhammer 1 races and either give them an overhaul, a refresh, change some sort of mechanic to them, something like that?
Who doesn't want that? I mean, who doesn't want Warhammer 1 getting tasteful upgrades? I mean,
do you think it would just completely shoot up just completely destroy the meta and balance that's been created to this point?
I don't think so, really. It depends. Because if they're going to do more of an overhaul, I honestly don't think that would mean changing much in how they multiplayer. I think that would change more about how their campaigns work.
Like, go ahead. I was going to say, I would prefer to see them
go ahead, but let me speak.
How about them split up the faction? So, for example, if they just took Empire and they put everything that could possibly be in the Empire roster, like the Empire Bowmen, Empire Hunters, the War Wagon. God, what else?
There will never be a War Wagon. I will put that on my tombstone.
I will leave this game if there's a War Wagon.
I want this War Wagon. We gotta make it happen.
You are too old, Gobbo. You are too old.
But I'm just listing. Like with Empire, they've been around forever. We can keep listing the Knights of More, the Knights Panther.
Yeah,
like I'm saying, you can keep adding. Knights of the White Wolf better be added.
God, I love them.
But I would like to see, if they're going to add more, I would like them to take Middenheim instead of Middenheim just being Middenheim. Take Middenheim. Okay, they don't have flagellants, but give them the Priest of Orc. Give them the Knights of the White Wolf. There's a couple other things. Isn't there one of the steam tanks there? One of the other ones?
I don't know, maybe.
I can't figure it right now. But there's
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, give them the Rangers, make them like Empire, but slightly different. Kind of like how Clan Agram is.
Mm-hmm.
The Clan Agram is just wars with 3 ethereal characters.
Right.
I would rather them see, kind of like how Archon the Black, he's got Hex Race, he's got ghouls, and is it Direbats or Direwolves?
And the Fellbats.
Yeah. So he's slightly different, right? He's got some changes. If they're going to expand, I'd rather see that. I'd rather see a faction with different stuff. Now, is that going to bring people to the table and make them money? Probably not.
No, but I mean, upgrading their campaigns will. Like, if they gave a rune crafting system to the dwarves,
Oh yeah, that's
or they
needed.
gave an increased diplomacy table with the other Empire factions for the Empire.
Right.
Like, there are things they could do that would really improve the gameplay of those factions.
Well, I mean, you look at. Okay, so let's just say you took one High Elf Spearman versus one, what the hell's it called? Empire Spearman. You put them against each other. The fact that the High Elves have, what's it called? Martial Prowess. And then the Dark Elves have Murderous Prowess. That all these other New York races have some sort of faction specific mechanic that is present in both the campaign, whatever it is, mortuary cult, the intrigue in the court, whatever it is, intrigue in the court, somebody spilled the spices, or something like that. And then they have something like that in the battle map as well. Makes already that I have no interest at all in playing anything Mortal Empires. I just don't. I think it's really cool, but none of the factions that are not in the Vortex campaign interest me to play, because the way that the Vortex campaign, or the way that Total War Warhammer 2's come out, their campaign is so bland by comparison. Like, oh, okay, great. I'm basically playing any of the other races without, 33% of what makes those races cool. All the new cool shit for them.
Yeah,
I honestly think they're intending to add on to those. I don't know how that's going to work out time frame wise, but I do think they intend to revisit the Game 1 races. I mean, we've already seen them revisiting Bretonia by updating their tech tree.
Right. In a big way, too.
Yeah, it's twice as large.
Yeah,
I tried to play Bretonia when Mortal Empire came out. And I remember all the stuff like, you're going to change around the world. Bretonia, like, no changes. I'm like, but the Errantry War, like, can't we go fight an Errantry War in Nagron? Like, no, you cannot. But like, can I get an ability that helps me fight Lizardmen?
No.
They're like, no. But look, I have this box art. See, there's a king fighting. No.
We were drunk.
Like, Bretonia, you stay there. You stay in your hole. You fight those beastmen
to the end of time. The Dark Omen is your omen.
But yeah, I'm like, I guess I'm going back to Norway and just taking over Norska again.
Well, if you think about it too, like, okay, what can they add to Total War Warhammer 2? And in a serious way, what can they add? The only other faction that they can add to Total War Warhammer 2 and still keep stuff for 3 is Araby. I mean, Albion is not like an army you'd add, and Amazon wasn't really much of anything you'd add.
I think they could add Estalia, Talea, and Dogs. But it depends on how they do it. If they want to go the old Dogs of War Codex, right? Mm-hmm. Then expand on them and make them like a pike and shot faction, or I guess pike and crossbow, because that's
I feel like
really...
they kind of did put the Dogs of War in the game, though, with the
Regiments of Renown.
No, the those horde armies.
These are those hordes. Whoa.
Oh yeah. Well, two of them are two of the horde armies are from the original. The Man Flayers.
Yep.
And is it Bronzio Besiegers?
Yes. No.
And there may be more because there's a ton of them.
Yeah. Anyways, they were kind of. I think that
so
would be
annoying.
Araby would be a fun faction. They'd be kind of this mix of light cav. Of course, Araby. I mean, a lot of the source material was like pre-Islamic Arabia,
right?
Like those armies. So it'd be interesting. And of course, the tabletop in what is it? Man of War? Mm-hmm. No, not Man of War. The one that just came, Dreadfleet. Yeah, they have genies because, like, if I remember the lore correctly, they don't get as much winds of magic. So all the spellcasters have to bind like these magical entities to objects so they can use them later.
There's jars. Giant jars.
Yeah, so you would have like these, you could have like a flame vortex genie, and you can have your wind genies, and you have a lot of light infantry, a lot of light cav. I think it'd be interesting. You have elephants,
It would be interesting. My only worry is that part of the world is very crowded.
Right.
With the Tomb King DLC. Like between Archon and Cetra, like
I'd say
campaign, there's room. But like you try playing in that area on the Mortal Empires campaign, it is crowded as hell.
I would say just get rid of the Bretonians.
Well, yeah, they'll probably, if they added in Araby, they'd have to get rid of the Bretonians, and they might even get rid of Sudenburg period, it's outright,
I
and
feel
just
like
make it
they're
ruins.
not going to though, and the reason I say this is because if you look at the Bretonian update, Bretonia got new texts that specifically have to do with the Crusader armies.
Well, they might keep some of the Crusader army. Like, okay, if I look at the map, wherever it is, it's over here somewhere on my PC.
I don't know. We don't know what's. I don't know on their roster.
I feel like Araby is still too much of a pipe dream.
I think Dogs of War are more realistic for a faction DLC.
I guess cause I'm looking at like they could be on the coast of Araby. You could remove.
Yeah, but there's the capitals. Hold on, let me look at this map. Let me look at the old Araby
Their map
stuff.
is like towards Land of Assassins and Cobra Pass. Because the Great Desert, there's no one in. Bel Aliad is like the beginning of the Arabian Empire, and it's like Cobra Pass, the top of Land of Assassins as a whole, and the Araby coast is all.
Their capital is up there by the pirate coast of Araby. Yeah, it's all up there, which is all Crusader kingdoms.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, look at the so the Neckarch Brotherhood and Strigos Empire. Strigos Empire is gone. Neckarch Brotherhood is still in the game. Like Strigos Empire is not like a random roving faction or anything like that I know of. One of my viewers brought up a really good point. There's the Elven Ruins. So if you look at the map for the game, you've got where Arkin starts, and you've got Sudenburg, and there's just Elven Ruins right there. He was saying that's probably where Eltharion will start if they put him in the game. Like, that's not a bad idea. I mean, that or somewhere in, depending on Mortal Empires or Vortex map, but I mean, it's just like Sotek said, it's going to become just a clusterfuck there. Like, it went from having no factions, just your Lizardmen and your Skaven there, to now you've got 2 lords starting there, or 4 lords total starting into Southlands alone.
Yeah, and like, call me weird, but I may be in the minority on this, but I would actually rather them not have a second race DLC for this game. I would rather them just focus on providing even more content for the races, the 10, 11 races we already have.
Totally on point.
Because that's development time and a DLC team that's going to be working on stuff that the game doesn't really need, I think. Like, we have plenty of shit.
Right. Almost too much shit.
Yeah. And, I mean, Norska's still coming in May.
Right.
And I don't see the need for another faction, honestly.
I don't see a need.
Mm-mm.
I don't see the need. I mean, I want one just because I like Araby. But yeah, there's no need. I'd rather see them flesh out and the other 3 factions. And
Araby's just not like a faction that I've ever been overly excited about. Norska, when it was announced, like, damn, that's cool. That's a really cool take on some things. Tomb Kings, I was like, I did not know I was going to be as excited about Tomb Kings, but Araby, even if it was announced, I'd be like, okay, that's cool, but
you say that until you see the flying carpets.
Oh, dude, don't even
flying carpet.
Dude, Robin Williams on the box of it. Oh, my heart pop. Like,
I feel like Disney would have something to say about that.
Hey, Creative Assembly, we got to have a meeting. I'm going to pull you in a room just like we did EA.
I would like it. I'll have fun.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, after Norska, I'm pretty sure they could be like, here's blah, and I'd be like, all right, I'm down.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, I'd rather than focus on fleshing out who we do have right now.
I'd rather just get
it would just be nice for them to be like, hey, look, a whole nother facet of the Empire. Or, hey, look, here's some random free LC lords that we weren't going to do, but we had some time and we're making lots of money, so here you go.
Man, and that's another thing, too, is like, we're talking so much about Tretch, Craventail, and all that, and like, I think that, because Sotek, you had said, hey, this is kind of like a random time for them to release this. I think, honestly, that this whole scenario of releasing Norska in May screwed up their timeline a whole ton. I think that we were actually probably going to see Tomb Kings released before the new year. I think they're probably going to be like, it would make a lot of sense for them to have done like an October announcement. But I think that because of Norska, it has really screwed up what they had projected for the games of release of their FLCs and everything like that, because I'm pretty sure they had to move resources to this and that. Like, you guys remember when the game came out, it was going to be like FLC Lord, Mortal Empires, FLC Lord, Experiment, FLC, and we haven't even gotten our first FLC Lord, which is coming out Tuesday, quote unquote.
Yeah,
I don't know. I missed it. Yeah.
Well,
it
and
cut
like
off for me.
Tretch has been so buried under the rug too.
Yeah.
like word got out that hey, it's Tretch, but you notice CA has not made an official announcement on Tretch anywhere.
Just little things here and there.
Like they keep sweeping him under the rug, and I don't know if that's to avoid controversy because people don't like Tretch, or if it's because like there's something wrong with him, so they don't want to show him yet.
I bet you his model's that model does not look done.
Well, you can can run into him though on the campaign in our build, and he looks fine and he sounds fine.
Oh, I haven't done that yet.
If you play like a Kotep campaign or a Morathi campaign, he's right there, and he'll come over and fight you.
If you can pet him.
Goddamn Tretch always coming over and biting me.
But like he's interesting looking, you know. He's got that super high melee defense, and
let me read this black book.
Large,
goddamn Tretch.
He's anti-large.
He's just he has a spear.
Oh. Okay.
They gave him all his goofiness from tabletop. Like he's very faithfully recreated from what I can see.
Okay.
Which is hilarious.
I don't know. It seems
really
weird.
He's just weird. He's kind of he's just odd. Like when you compare it to some of the free LC lords we had, you know, like Wurzag brought the really interesting mechanic of like being able to take lots of interesting savage orcs all over the place and having some cool synergy with them. And then you had like Grombrindal, who had like this fucking crazy new mechanic of being able to like super buff himself
and drool on his fake teeth.
Like they basically gave him the fucking Beastman mechanic with the moons, which was weird.
Yeah, come on, but Grombrindal just had rabies. It wasn't.
He did like I look at that, and I can't help but think of like cool things. Like, what if we were to get like Throt the Unclean, but he came with a unique bonus where like he could pick like an augment that he makes to his army using flesh crafting.
Yeah,
until they get like a bonus or something.
That'd be really cool, actually.
Or, Ikit Claw has the ability to like invent, crazy magic items that have like a huge upside, but also a huge downside because they're Scryer inventions.
Can we talk about the Mortuary Cult's crafting mechanic and how I want that in almost every other faction of the game?
Yes, it's an amazing mechanic, and it solves my biggest problem with the game quite often, which is not being able to fucking get enough magic items.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, that's never been my problem. I'm like, what am I gonna do with like 8 maces?
Well, like you get nothing but shit items. The Mortuary Cult, you can look through and you're like, wow, I don't have any talismans. I'd really like a blue level talisman. Oh wait, I can do that.
Maybe I just play differently, you guys. That's never a problem for me. I get generals and I just retire them and they just set up a magic shop. Like when you're playing D&D, like I need to go buy a flaming mace. Like you just go find like Nicholas Belmont's Bearer of Chains, the Emperor's Eye, and like
I appreciate the Castlevania reference.
I used to be the Emperor's Eye, but here's my magic shop. What do you want?
I love
Hydroblade. Got it.
The Tomb King's mechanic was great. It's like most of the new factions in Warhammer 2 have something I really like. Like for the High Elves, I love being able to manipulate diplomacy.
I just wish that was more effective.
And the right it is if you use it correctly, but you have to use it right. Like it's not, you can't just wing it.
Right.
You have to be really tactical with it.
Right.
But like their vaults, the Vols thing that lets you forge a cool magic item. That's nice.
Yeah.
And then you look at like the Dark Elf slave economy. Awesome. It's not super exciting, but it's awesome.
Oh, well, heard it here first, folks. Sotec, he's about the slave economy.
Love slaves.
Oh man.
No one's gonna take that out of context.
But then you kind of look at the Lizardmen and the Skaven. There's not as exciting stuff going on for them.
I like the spawning stuff.
Well, like the Lizardmen, you get the Sacred Spawning, which is okay, but it's basically just a harder to get Regiment of Renown.
That was I'm going to agree with the Lizardmen one. Like I played Lizardmen, beat on very hard when it first came out, and then I was like, I don't even know how these spawnings happen. Like, hey, you can get these sources who are orange. I'm like, what do they do? They're orange. Whatever. Yeah, I need spearmen.
Like, they're neat, but they're not super exciting. And then you have the Skaven, who have the food mechanic, which is actually more of a pain in the ass than helpful.
Yeah, well, stop having babies.
No, you have to eat the babies. And then there's of course the Menace Below, which is neat.
Cool, but yeah.
It gets boring. Like the Tomb King campaign is so nice because those items like that never gets old.
No,
Like
no.
there's always a new item to be going for, especially the purple items, which are really hard to get, but holy shit, they're awesome.
Oh my god, you just made Total War into like a loot drop.
They
Dude,
did.
I love
They did.
loot. That's why I
You're
love
just-
playing Diablo.
Exactly.
Loot is the best.
You're just playing
Talk
Diablo.
shit about loot.
Yo, seriously,
You're
I
playing
mean,
the
like, that's,
assassin.
well, and it also makes it like, oh, okay, I can go get dyes and pottery and exotic animals and have it mean something. And other
Yeah, it
Total
makes
War
the
games,
reason fucking matter.
oh yeah, and other Total War games that it matters because it gives you, oh, okay, you've got iron. Okay, now all these units are cheaper to make and stuff like that.
Warhammer, they stopped mattering though.
Yeah, they just gave it additional trade resources, which again didn't really. There are very few instances where it does matter in other campaigns. Very, very, very
like
few.
it's better now than it was because they finally up in Mortal Empires because they updated it so that if you get it to like the max level, it gives you like upkeep production and
Right.
improved rank and all
Right.
this other stuff. But that was added in later.
Yeah,
And it's not nearly as exciting as the. But like, man, if the dwarves could get a rune crafting system, oh my god! Like, give me Thoric Ironbrow free LC, and he comes with a rune crafting update for the dwarves, please.
Oh.
Like that would be amazing.
Oh, and like, I'm sitting here looking at this map too, and it's like, what other, like, okay, if you guys look at Ulthuan, of course, one person starting there is Tyrion. Do you think we'll ever get a lord that will also start in Ulthuan as well? Another high elf lord?
Yeah, I think Alariel's going to start in Avalorn.
You think so?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think we definitely need something that starts in the northern portion of it. Like, I always try to start a high elf campaign and keep Trace alive, but it's like Trace always just gets dominated so quickly.
Avalorn would be a great start position. I would also personally like a dark elf to start in Ulthuan as well.
Like that Nagarath faction?
Like just a nice, not Nagarath, but the guys north of them. Just a nice, hard.
It's a Cult of
start
Pain or
position.
something.
Yeah, something like that. Like if we could get like Hellebrand there or something, that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah.
So Hellebrand would probably start in her actual city.
Well, if you think of where she actually starts, that's pretty. It's closer than Nagaron is for sure.
Yeah, because right now it's kind of like Malekith's campaign is to conquer Nagaroth. Morathi's campaign is to also do Nagaroth, but mostly Lizardmen.
Mm-hmm.
Though now Katep and Krut are right next to her, so that makes things more exciting.
Right.
I would really like a Dark Elf campaign where just right from the get-go, it's like, get these high elves, like, go get them.
Go right for it. Well, that too, and like when I play like Ulthuan, when I play Tyrion, it's not that easy to actually get everyone all under one banner, especially if you're like spending the whole time you're using all your influence on trying to influence, like, because Safri is pissed off at you immediately, Caloroi hates you, so it's like you end up playing this gigantic campaign against those two.
I just kill them in the first 30 turns. I don't even worry about it.
I just
I just murder them.
I don't really play it like high elves. I just go adventuring. I hire somebody and I like rename them, and I'm like, you're going to be Captain Scallywag. And next thing you know, Captain Scallywag, the elven princess, is like
Hey,
sailing high.
There's the DLC race we need. Pirates of Sartosa DLC.
Oh,
Yeah, that's not the
that'd be
first
so
place
fun.
I take. I take the Pirates of Sartosa. I'm like, okay, this is going to be Scallywag's home, and then we're going to go. Let's go to South America.
Let's go to South America. The shifting sands will be our new home.
It's because like the rest of the campaign is like, I'm have Tyrion, I'm fighting whoever, and I don't know, I'm doing elven stuff. I'm like, I have to have some joke character with like her little merry band. Just
Brave
goes
Sir
crazy.
Robin ran away. Well,
That's why I never complete the campaign, because I end up having like 5 wars on 6 fronts.
Yeah. Well, I'm at that point now in my Tomb Kings campaign where it's like I'm having so much fun as a Tomb King, and I'm pushing all the way in. And Sotek and I were talking about this now. Now I've beat the dwarfs, I've beat the Bretonians, I've beat off the Empire.
Yeah, you did.
Beat them a hard and slug.
Yeah.
And now I'm just, it's 2-on-2 action, scissor me timbers, and it's ridiculous because you'll destroy 3 huge full stacks in like a 45-minute pitched battle, and then they'll have 2 more stacks ready by the time you reach their any of their cities.
Fighting the multi, like I beasted through an Arcan campaign on my own time, and like the slog of dealing with Cetra and like the Dune Kingdoms and the other 2 or 3 Tomb King factions,
Right.
it's just like, oh my god, especially once they get like really good lords,
Mhm.
because normally, like, the AI will get that really powerful dragon lord or whatever, and you just corner them and you kill them. You don't have to deal with them anymore. And the
Right.
AI just took a huge blow. Tomb Kings don't have that problem because every single Tomb King has the immortal trait.
Mhm.
So if they get a Tomb King who has a fucking War Sphinx, well, guess what?
Yep.
He's going to be back in 4 turns with a full stack.
Yeah, and those things, and the armies build up real fast. You just use the global and the local recruitment pool, and you're up to a full stack in 2-3 turns.
The AI cheats and can get their armies even faster than you can.
Little bastards.
Yeah, but the AI is, come on, it's the AI.
They can grind you down in an Archon campaign just because everybody hates you, because you start off with like -40 diplomacy with all the other Tomb Kings.
Fucking wild.
I don't know. The hardest campaign, I think.
Excuse me, -50.
Oh, there it is, 50.
I think the hardest campaign is still going to be Skarsniks, though.
I
these.
Never started it. Never will.
Yeah, he's like, let me start
I actually
here.
don't find Skarsniks to be that bad.
They say everyone around him hates him.
Like Skarsniks, I don't mind because usually you can scrap up an ally.
The only person who doesn't hate him.
I usually get the what else would be my buddies.
Dorothy is the only guy who doesn't hate him.
Dorothy just appears behind him and just slaps him around with his glowing stick and leaves again.
Skarsniks campaign is fun.
I plan on doing the head-to-head as soon as Tomb Kings drops. And we're just trying to figure out who the other faction to play against them is going to be.
What's the two? What's your faction? Skarsnik versus?
We did Skarsnik versus Squeak, and we got pretty far until the files got corrupted.
Oh.
We're like, oh.
Always the worst.
Because we were planning on, like, the first one who takes 8 peaks and can hold it wins. But now it's like, okay, so who's going to be a fun adversary for the Tomb Kings? Like, what's going to be fun? Like, should we do Bretonnians, sail across? Should we do the High Elves? I don't know. What else? I'm like, but what else? I think it would be a lot of fun.
Do Pestilence versus Tomb Kings.
Yeah?
I would probably do Bretonnia versus Tomb Kings. I think that would be the most fun.
It's pretty thematic, too.
Especially with Bretonnia getting all the new updates.
Right.
Yeah, I think the first 20 turns, though, I would play offline. Like, no one wants to see you fight the same goblin horde over and over again.
Good time.
You know, like, okay, let's just ramp this up.
Just play as Alberic so you can slap around some undead.
Yeah, bring your imaginary trident and just like play like you're playing in tabletop. Oh, this counts as a trident. It looks like a sword. Well, it's a trident.
Oh my god,
Brian, it's not.
No, we play WYSIWYG here.
We play WYSIWYG. You can't get the trident of mine. It's not WYSIWYG.
Oh god. Well,
there's the mod you can download.
Somebody made the Trident 4 CA.
Here, guys, I did it for you. Don't worry about it.
You just want me to do the Deus or the Damus Volt campaign. The lady wills it.
The lady wills it. God, all that movie.
Oh my god.
Well, we're I think we're about at time here. We've been another good hour 10, 15 minute or so.
Oh gosh, did we talk about anything informative? I feel like
we did.
Yeah,
somewhere.
Totally.
We talked about how you want slave economies.
Oh yeah.
We talked about Tretch. We talked about our opinions on that. Like that's like people just like to hear us kind of banter and talk. For the most part, no one really cares about what Gobbo King says. Everyone listens to Loremaster and everyone laughs at
that. Apparently they post me on Reddit and they shit talk me the entire time.
Do you think this is a fucking game?
Dude, I sent Gobbo the fucking thread.
Oh yeah, I read it. It's so
Reddit.
funny.
It's so
good. It's like when I got featured on Indie Pride, or not Indie Pride. On Indie Pride's channel. It's like, this is my buddy Turin. Look, he's doing this army. Here's Italian Spartacus. Go check out his channel. And I got this guy. I'm like, I have a channel.
I got this guy.
Whatever, dude.
And then the other time was on Party Elite's channel. Party Elite's like, oh, we're fighting Zypho. Zypho's so good. Look at what he's doing. Look at this Lizardman player. He's trash. He's an idiot. What is he doing? It was like the second battle. I was like, I beat Zyphos. It was the best of 3, and best of 3, and I beat him in 2 games. But the whole time it's like, look at this guy. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. This Gobbo King idiot.
You will forever be the black sheep of the Total War community.
I'm like, guys, I play the game. I know what I'm doing. Like, and Parley's like, shut up.
God, this Gobbo guy is just like, how stupid can you get?
God, on a scale of 1 to Dur, he's a Dur.
Great job there, Gobbo.
I'll end this with an odd question, like I usually do for my podcasts. Aimed at both of you, and answer it respectively. Would you rather have a an actual Tomb King, hand feed you a quart of chocolate and vanilla pudding, or interlock your hands into a dwarf miner's feet, than have to eat popcorn. And each time you get a mouthful of popcorn, you have to touch its feet.
I would easily take the Tomb King one because I'm a slut for chocolate and vanilla pudding.
I can't stand pudding.
Dude, if it's the fucking like little things from the store where it's like chocolate on top, vanilla in the center, chocolate on bottom, I am fucking down.
Yeah, what are you? Are you in grade school? Like open up your little like G.I. Joe lunchbox?
Dude, I still like if someone gives me like one of like the hardcore like mega Lunchables with pizza in it, I get fucking excited.
Fuck yes, Mom packed Lunchables.
Hey, when you turn 30, you can do the same thing.
Everyone can buy Lunchables at that age. Trust me.
Oh my god!
So then you're saying, Gobbo, you would take the dwarf minor popcorn?
Is it actual minor pop? Because this is what I feel like. Are we ever a Boy Scout?
Yeah.
You know how they had like those like giant tins and it had like the 3 popcorns in it? It was like regular popcorn, like butter popcorn, and the other one was like cheese, and the other one was like caramel.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna be the cheese one that's kind of gone funk.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and also you're gonna have the dwarf miner's funk on your hands as you touch funky popcorn.
Whoa,
why am I doing this?
Double funk.
That's another question. Like, why am I doing this?
Because it's a would you rather, man. No one questions the why of a would you rather. That's just
Yeah, but like,
just be happy we didn't do fuck, marry, kill.
Yeah, seriously,
dude. I'm just like trying to figure out like what has led me up to these events. Like, what in my life has led me up to this event? Like,
well, here's what led you up to these events.
Hey,
no.
Early access or not?
Going on in my head.
What?
This is what's going on in my head. Like, it's kind of like the not the Catan, the Necrons in 40K where they've gone crazy, and I feel like the Tomb Kings are that way too. So like here I am, I'm like Captain whoever, like on an expedition to the Tomb Kings, and I disguise myself. I'm like, hey guys, let me make a funny joke. Put this headdress on. So now the Tomb King's awake, but he always sees the headdress and he thinks I'm his wife. He's like, oh hey baby.
What the fuck are you even talking about?
Well, he's trying to role play. He's trying to roll that. This is good.
We're supposed to be wrapping up, Gobbo. What are you doing?
I'm just trying to figure out. I just want to know my motivation. That's all.
Your motivation is here. Okay, here's your motivation for having dwarf minor popcorn. You've released a series of videos on a hit website called YouTube that all showcase your terrible Total War skill. And everyone in the Total War community knows that you're terrible. So it's just, this is it. This is the bottom of depression. It's you, popcorn, and a dwarf minor.
God, you gotta do it for the lulz. I gotta get that clickbait.
Okay, that's how you'll get your early access, is eating feet popcorn.
You gotta do what you gotta do, bro.
Oh god! All right, guys. Thanks for joining us here today. I'm gonna have links to Gobbo King and Loremaster of Sotek's channel in the comment section. Also, check out Gobbo King's guide on how to be terrible at multiplayer. It's probably the best guide out on how you can lose. That's why I read it firsthand. That's why I'm winning so many games. Not. But thanks for watching here today, guys. Have a good one and take care.